this is kind of a military style prison, so everything had to be like, sir, yes, sir. We had to make our beds in a certain way. We had to polish our boots. We had to like our.
No, I'm just kind of remarking on how crazy that is. What in the world did you do to get sent to that prison?
You have to lift up your penis, then lift up your ball sack.
Oh
They like squat down and like get really close with a freaking flashlight pointing it at you, and then you turn around, bend over, spread your cheeks, and then cough twice. And that makes you like your butthole.
Are you trolling?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm telling you, we had to do this every day. You had to turn around. I start to lift up my hand to cover my mouth so I don't sneeze, and literally the second I move my hand, he grabs me around my neck and picks me up off the ground by my neck, like in a chokehold. Commotion starts breaking out everywhere. Like, I hear everybody screaming and yelling, and there's like, you know, pushing and all sorts of stuff. I start to hear like banging on the other doors. The other inmates are literally trying to break down the door now. Like, bust my head, hit my knees first, like shattered my kneecap, sprained my other knee. I got like blood like coming out of my head, and I'm like laying there with like blood like flowing into my mouth. And so they grab me by the cuffs and drag me over behind the counter. Yes, I was screaming bloody murder, dude. And you can see my kneecap is like all mangled. You can see it. So yeah.
Dude, that was one of the fucking craziest stories I've heard in a long time. I'm really, really sorry you had to go through that, man. That's like.
Yep. Yeah, I think like even moving, I lived in New York, right? I grew up in like the ghetto initially, went to an all-black school, an all-black church, lived in an all-black neighborhood. It really was like a culture shock to move to Georgia, where it was just insanely different. Like, it's not like there aren't like black and brown people around, but I went from being a minority to being like by far the majority. I went from like saying the N-word just because everybody said the friggin' N-word in New York, to like white people getting insanely offended that I said the N-word, and like finding out that like I'm not supposed to say it because I'm white. Like, the cultures that you grow up in and the way that you're socialized early on, these things are really going to change the way that you view things. But yeah, with that said, 100%. I still ended up like being kind of far right and pretty racist early on.
Wait, far right? I thought you were more towards the left.
I'm saying like I used to like, when I first started streaming and doing my podcast, that's what I like my initial entry into content creation. I was definitely kind of, what do you call it? Like, I wasn't alt-right, but I liked Richard Spencer. I liked Gavin McInnes. I liked Stefan Molyneux.
Wait, really?
These are like, these are all like the main people I watched. Sorry?
Yeah, that's interesting. So how did you then, like, Richard Spencer is like pretty fucking far right. Like, you know, that's like pretty much as right as he. So how did you switch over, and like how do you transition to being like much more to the left? That's like a big shift.
It kind of started with Trump getting elected. I looked at Trump as just like one of the dumbest people I'd ever seen. Like, I could not believe that my people were voting for such a stupid person who could barely put a freaking sentence together. Like, somebody who didn't even know what a policy was. It was so disheartening to watch my people like this freaking guy, especially as a Christian. Like, it was so disgusting. Like, I was disgusted by everybody, and I was really upset about it. And even like my own family started to vote for him, and I was just like, damn, dude, it really like pulled me out of everything and kind of made me start reassessing pretty much everything.
That's what I mean about my earlier point, is like the pendulum, right? Like it like, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. It's like the president was like, you know, some fucking like right leaning fucking douchebag, right? and that caused you to go in the other direction, right? Because you didn't like certain things about him, right? And then you started questioning your whole worldview. But the same thing can happen in the
it's
other
more about
direction.
like questioning things. Yeah, it gave me the ability to like reassess and start questioning more things. So like shortly after that, because I was already doing my show at this point, I was already like gaining traction. I was mostly streaming on, I just started streaming, and I was doing my podcast, and I was still far right, but I didn't like Trump, right? I wasn't a fan of Trump, but I would still defend a lot of the things that he would say, just because those were already things that I believed in anyways, like things about immigration, building the wall, like sure, that shit's cool. Like he would say things I liked, but that doesn't mean I liked him. He was a freaking retard. So I was doing I was gaining an audience. I'm just getting back to having like 100 to 200 people in my chat after like another 3 years of streaming after this. But at that time, I'd only been streaming for maybe a year, had about 150 people in live stream chats pretty consistently. I was getting thousands of views on every stream. And then I started to make a video essay about PYT calling out Ben Shapiro on systemic racism. And they explain all of these like different reasons for why systemic racism is real and why Ben Shapiro is wrong about it. So I wanted to do like a video essay talking about how wrong they were and do this whole response video. And as I'm going through it, I'm explaining all of these different things about like, you know, how taxes or welfare came in, and like how it incentivizes black women to not have a man in the household, and that not having two-parent households makes it to where you're less likely to go to college and have a successful life, and more likely to go to jail, and more likely to do drugs, and all of this stuff. You've heard it a million times.
That's a pretty left-leaning position.
That is not. That is like those are right-wing talking points, like that right there about the welfare and all of that. So
no, that is. I'm talking about believing in systemic racism. That's
sure.
That's left for sure. Like even moderates don't really believe in systemic racism. It's more like a left.
Well, so I'm going to do this video. I go to get the definition of systemic racism. I'm like 45 minutes into this video editing it. Spent days on it. Go to get the definition, and the definition is something that fits everything that I've been talking about. Like all of the welfare stuff, all of the stuff with two-parent households, like all of this crap fits the definition. I'm like, shit, okay, this is weird, because according to this definition, everything I'm calling like everything I'm explaining to debunk systemic racism is also systemic racism. So, okay, let me go get a different one, because I always hear right-wingers say that like the definition changes depending on who you ask, and it's always different no matter where you go. I go through pages of Google searches of definitions for systemic racism. They're all the freaking same. And I'm like freaking out at this point. And I literally, like, no joke, like having like this identity crisis in this moment. Like, oh my goodness, I believe in systemic racism, dude. Everything that I believe in, everything that I'm explaining, this is systemic racism. We just don't call it that. But it makes sense now. And I just like, I'm thinking through like everything I've ever heard, and just like, oh my goodness, it all makes sense. Like this all makes so much freaking sense. And I literally, I didn't stream, I didn't do a podcast, I didn't do anything for maybe like 2 to 3 weeks after this, because I was literally freaking out. Like I'm thinking like, these are the people that I hate. Like people who believe in systemic racism are people that I freaking hate. But now I'm one of these people. What is happening? Like, what is going on? And I just like more and more things made me question more and more things. So I came out with a video where I just kind of explained, yeah, I believe in systemic racism now. I believe in all of these different things. My audience totally canceled me. Like, hardcore, yes, they did not like me anymore. There were tons of fights all over the internet happening over this, and I pretty much started back over with like 0 viewers, and got into the Twitch space.
Audience capture, they don't like that. They like when you're saying things that validate their identity and their beliefs. But you did like, it seems like you did basically a 180, and you like literally like lost. But I do commend you for like doing the right thing and like, you know, not BSing and being like, you know what, I'm the audience capture. I'm just gonna keep like LARPing around. So I'm like a right winger. Instead, you like, you know, you were real. which I think is good, and very few people
No,
are.
I made the wrong decision.
Obviously, most people love Ralph, but that's interesting, dude. I'm like the exact opposite. Like since middle school, I've been like left leaning, not too left, but like kind of center left. My politics haven't like changed in like 25 years. I was really surprised when Trump won the election. I just did not think he was going to win, like pretty much most people. Never liked Trump. Always
I
thought
remember
he was a
telling my
buffoon.
friend he has. I remember telling my best friend he has zero chance. I'm like, he has zero chance, dude. No shot.
That's what I
Like he
thought,
has
too.
zero chance of winning. Like over and over. Even when it was like just him and Hillary left. I'm like, yeah, zero chance still. Like he still has zero chance of winning. It's Hillary Clinton, bro. Come on. It's Hillary Clinton. Like he has zero chance of winning.
You know who else thought that? Trump himself. He actually thought he was going to lose because he was saying, like, before the election was even over, he was saying, "Oh, this is rigged. This is BS." He was saying it was rigged before the election even happened. And then as soon as he won, he just completely stopped saying that. He's like, "Yeah, good election. You know, the people voted." Like he himself thought he was going to lose. Hillary thought she was going to win. Yeah, everyone thought that Trump was going to lose. It was a surprise to everyone. I think honestly, any Democrat could have beaten Trump except Hillary. She's just like super unlikable. Like just she doesn't have that like like the presidential election is largely a popularity contest, like vibes, right? Like people support Trump not because of his policy. Like if you ask a Trump supporter, what are 3 policies that you like about Trump? 95% of them won't be able to name you 3 policies. No fucking way. I played this game a million times. It's like vibes. Yeah, I don't know. He seems like a badass. He pisses off the libs. He's not PC. That's typically the answers you get. And like Hillary Clinton just doesn't pass the vibes test. Bill Clinton had it. Barack Obama had it. George Bush, not so much. So it's kind of a miracle that he won. But yeah, but Trump has the vibes, and Hillary Clinton does not. And that's what I think any other candidate, like if Joe Biden ran 2016, I think he probably would have. Oh, sorry, 2016. I think he would have won. And Joe Biden is not like some super charismatic dude either. He's like kind of like average vibes. But Hillary Clinton is just like super unlikable. Which to me doesn't matter at all. I only care about policy accomplishments. It's the only thing I care about. I don't care how cool someone is, how charismatic they are, how badass they are. It's like none of that matters to me. It's like I look at policies. I'm like, when I look at Biden, even though like he's like an old man who seems like he's barely there, when I look at the policy accomplishments of his administration, I'm like, yeah, they did some good things. The CHIP Act, the IRA, the bringing back 800,000 manufacturing jobs. I'm like, yeah, there's definitely been some good policy accomplishments, right? So that's the only thing I care about. But most people are not like that. Most people don't really give a shit about policy. It's all about vibes.
Yeah, I agree to some extent. I think that like the weird thing about that is that because of freaking vibes, Donald Trump was able to just completely change the entire Republican Party and just like turn it into something totally different than what I was part of. Like I was a neocon, dude. I was all about like the George Bush era and Cheney and all of that crap. And then he turned them all into a bunch of freaking, like, it seemed like leftists, like even stuff that I don't like about leftists, stuff that I still disagree with leftists on. They all believe in that shit now. Like, they're just a bunch of populists now. They like have so much that they agree with leftists on now that I still like now I just have the same arguments with them that I've been having with leftists for a while. Yeah, I got on Twitch when I had a breakup with my girlfriend during the time where I was like questioning everything. Sent me into like a very like deep depression for about a year. And I got into Twitch streaming at that time and was just literally questioning like everything. And like all of the people that I was talking to in the Twitch space were like having like a large effect on the sort of opinions that I was picking up and the way that I like the positions that I was changing on. Like I was having a lot of debates with people that I was losing and realizing that I was losing them and kind of changing positions over and over and doing a lot more research into crap. And so yeah, it was just kind of a process of like moving on everything. Whereas now I probably what most people would consider like a centrist or like a liberal type person, but I very much believe in like systemic issues, things like systemic racism, patriarchy, toxic masculinity, like all of these things. I believe in all of this stuff. I just don't like, I think that lots of people take those ideas and misuse them to extreme degrees. And like play victim cards and, you know, just get into like identity politics and socialism and all this other insane bullcrap that is still stuff that I will never have anything to do with.
As a side note, we should do a debate about what's it called, toxic masculinity at some point. I think we might have disagreements on that. But yeah, there's a really funny video on YouTube of basically a guy who goes to a Trump rally, and he's like he's obviously he's like a liberal, right? But he puts on like a MAGA shit, and he basically starts talking to Trump supporters, and he starts saying left leaning policies, but making it seem like Biden is against them and Trump is for them. He's like, yeah, you know, this is Biden is like all about like privatizing healthcare. We got we got to fucking stick it to Biden. You know, we got to give healthcare to everybody. Like, yeah, Trump's gonna do it. Biden's not gonna do it. He doesn't want it. You know, he just wants to give it to the elite. Yeah. They're agreeing to like all these like hardcore left policies, like. Yeah, like people aren't getting paid enough money. You know, we gotta raise the minimum wage. Trump is the only man who's willing to fight for that. Yeah. Fuck Biden. Yeah, he wants to pay people less. You know, like all these hardcore left policies, and they were just agreeing to all of them because they thought it went against what Biden wanted. It's fascinating. It's like that video will fucking blow your mind.
Well, I would love to see that.
I'll try to find it. I saw it on Secular Talks. Do you watch Secular Talks?
No, you're talking about that freaking blonde-haired dude.
That's one of my favorite channels for like news coverage. He's definitely more
I can't stand him.
But I think he keeps it real.
Kyle Kulinski, yeah.
What, you're not?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. Like the last couple times I've seen him, he seemed to moderate a bit, and he's been a lot better. But he was like a Bernie or Buster, like Bernie bro loser in the last election. That I couldn't stand him. He had some of the dumbest takes ever and was just consistently wrong on things. So, oh yeah, Vic's Life said hang. He's in chat.
Oh, what's up, Vic? What did you disagree with Kyle on? Like, what are some of those bad takes that you thought?
Okay. Let me, I'm pretty sure he was one of the people who got the Kyle Rittenhouse thing wrong and was consistently wrong on it. I think he was one of the people who was wrong on the Breonna Taylor case.
When you say wrong about the Kyle Rittenhouse, you mean that he argued that it was not self-defense?
Yes. Yeah, and that he was like wrong for... Yeah, he had a bunch of bad takes on it. Let's see. I think he was even, there was a whole thing with another channel. Oh man, I forget what it was. I think he was part of Force the Vote, if I remember correctly. I think he was. Him and Brianna Joy Gray. And Brianna Joy Gray, like more recently, he had a debate with her where him and his wife like tore her to shreds, and I was like really impressed with the ways that both of them have moved and changed on a lot of their beliefs. But both of them were these like cringe losers just a couple of years ago. So
I only discovered his channel like 9 months ago, so I wasn't around for that era, so I'll just take your word for it. Yeah, I've only watched his videos for the last 9 months. I thought he's been pretty much spot on about everything. He tries to be fair from what I see. But the Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm also on the self-defense side. I watched that whole trial like very meticulously. I watched like every bit of that trial, and I watched like Lewis break down the trial. I was like super fascinated with that. But I can see though how someone could argue. It's not like there's some things to me which are like completely unreasonable. Like, for example, trickle down economics, which has been like disproven, or like thinking that climate change isn't real. Like shit like that is like, okay, like you're just not educated. Versus with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, I can legitimately envision how someone could argue that he wasn't completely innocent, that it wasn't just pure self-defense. I'm on the self-defense side, but I can empathize with the other side in terms of that specific issue. So that one I don't think is as wild if he was arguing for the other side. Um, yeah, I mean, like something that would be more wild would be like the George Floyd situation, like people who argued that Derek Chauvin was like innocent and that it was like totally normal procedure. I thought it was like wild. It's like, dude, like I debated people on it. One guy was like, bro, the knee's not even on the neck, and like I played the video of the knee literally on the neck, and I zoom in on it. I'm like, dude, here you go. He's like, no, that's not the neck, that's the back. I'm like, dude, like this is where the head begins. Like what? And like the mental gymnastics I saw with like the Derek Chauvin debaters was like insane. It's like, dude, like this is not standard fucking procedure. You can't, you're not.
I mean, it is a philosophical question of like where isn't this like a Loki thing where he tells a group of people that they can kill him and they can chop his head off, but as long as they don't touch his head or his shoulders whatsoever. And so they go to get ready to chop his head off, but they can't actually figure out where the neck starts and where it ends. And so, yeah, Loki's wager. So, like, it's a whole, like, actual, like, hardcore philosophical question of, like, you know, is there an actual, like, line of where the neck ends and where it begins and crap like that? I do think, like, I was a bit more apologetic for Chauvin than I think most people were. Because I felt like, to some extent, once somebody's fought the cops for that long and been like that aggressive and that defiant, it's like it's really hard to get them under control. The problem is that they like held him on the ground for like 8 minutes, and then once he was out, they did nothing to help him.
Yeah, he was saying that he couldn't breathe over and over again. Also, when you look
into that, as somebody who's been to prison, people will make up all sorts of shit to try to get out of cuffs, to try to get out of getting arrested. Like, this is, like, cops are used to people literally just saying the most insane shit. Saying they can't breathe, saying you broke their leg, saying, like, all sorts of weird stuff, trying to get out of crap. And he was already being super frantic and just super out of it the entire time, to where I find it, like, I think most people in that situation probably wouldn't have believed him either. There were freaking 5 or 6 guys there who all didn't believe him. It wasn't just Chauvin. Like, Chauvin was just a guy with the knee on the neck. The problem, like I said, is that how long he had his knee on his neck was a problem. And then the fact that once he was out, they did nothing to help him. They weren't like, you know, it wasn't an emergency to get him to a hospital, to get paramedics there. Like, they weren't doing anything to help him. And that's the stuff that is like super egregious.
Yeah, I mean, like when you consider also like the other circumstantial evidence, like that Derek had like this wasn't his first rodeo. He had a track record of like, you know, this type of shit, not like murdering people, but like, you know, like complaints and whatnot. That was one factor. Another factor was the fact that they were called in for a very low level crime. They weren't called in, like, it would be more reasonable if they were called in for like a robbery or something like that, where there was like legitimate, but they were called in because this dude like had like a $20 counterfeit bill, which is like a very low level.
Hold on. Somebody just said in my chat, Floyd wasn't aggressive at all. That he was literally like fighting the cops. He kicked the freaking door open, like was doing damage to the car. He was like pushing cops over. Like he was very aggressive. I don't know what you're talking about. He wasn't aggressive at all. He was very aggressive.
He probably just
in
watched
cuffs.
The 5-minute. Yeah, he probably because most of the people are watching that like 7-minute video.
After they get him down to the ground, yeah.
You have to watch the original video where like from the beginning, and yeah. No, for sure. He was definitely not cooperating, right? There's no denying that. But yeah, like the biggest thing is like at that point he's already subdued. Like there's like no need for that. And like, yeah, it's just like it doesn't take a genius to figure out if you keep your knee on someone's neck for like extended period of time that they're not gonna be able to breathe. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean it's fucked up. I mean, I'm not really big on the whole systemic racism thing, but I will say this. I would wager that if George Floyd was a clean-cut white guy, that this would not have happened. Assuming all his behavior was the same, assuming the dude did every single thing the same, every other factor being the same, I would venture to say it probably wouldn't have happened.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that I really believe that or like care to even speculate on it, because like white guys get the crap beaten out of them. I'm a victim of police brutality. I have a bad knee and take painkillers for my knee. I'm like, I got my kneecap shattered and then hidden from everybody, and then like I've had very like egregious things happen to me by the cops that I'm not like, you know, super unaware of the shit that they do. But I wouldn't even say systemic racism has much to do with a thing like what happened to George Floyd. That was more so just like irresponsible policing.
Well, dude, listen to this. Not to like invalidate your experience. Obviously, I'm sure white people fucking get police brutality too. But when I was living in LA, I was living in this house with like 10 people. This is when I was like poor as fuck. For the people who think like my parents gave me money or something like that, like no, you know, came from an upper middle class family, but my parents didn't like give me money when I was an adult, right? I was kind of my own. So I was living in like this like fucking really ghetto house with like 10 people, like super ghetto. Everything was like fucking super ratchet. My rent was like $500 a month for everything. Anyway, so one of my roommates, a black guy, started assaulting one of my other roommates, a black girl, over laundry because she moved his laundry. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not adding to the story. That's actually what happened. And so I witnessed that because that was right around when I was home. So I came out because I heard the noises, and he went into her apartment. Her door was open and started punching her on the bed. And this dude was huge. I wasn't going to like fucking get involved in that. Like, I don't want to fucking get stabbed. So I called the police. That was like the first thing I did. And the police came like 10, 15 minutes later, and the first thing they did was put every black person in the house in handcuffs. So there was like 3, 4 black people with me, like 2 Mexicans and like 5 white people or whatever. And there was a black girl who was like, not the girl who was being attacked, but the other girl who was just like non-involved at all. She was just like in her room, like studying or something like that. And they were like, okay, we want everyone out of the house. And then like she just gets handcuffed. And I came up, I was like, hey, officer, I'm the one that called the police. Like, this girl had nothing to do with it, you know? And it was like really weird, like why you would handcuff the black girl who's like not involved, but you wouldn't handcuff like all the other like white people in the house. I don't know. That like whole thing kind of made me like think, yeah, you know, there's probably something to this whole like, you know, you're a disadvantage if you're black and you get pulled over or whatever, interacting with the police. I don't know. That was like a wild story. It just kind of blew my mind that happened.
Like, systemic racism is pretty much all data. Like, it's just all data. It's all like, the idea of systemic racism is that through some sort of institution or system, things like even like culture, business, government, stuff like that, that there will be disproportionalities in negative outcomes. And that's it. Like, so you just look at data to see if there are disproportionate results for different racial groups. And if there are, then generally we'll try to like ask why that is. Is it because of a racial reason? And then even if it's not because of a racial reason, a lot of times, sometimes it's something that like has nothing to do with race at all, but still has this hardcore disproportionate racial outcome that is still systemic racism. So yeah.
I'm curious, if you don't mind sharing, what was like your most egregious experience with the police?
That one, I was in prison, and every day we would go out on detail. It's like called chain gang or detail, where you just go and like do some sort of work every day. They'll put you in a bus and drive you somewhere and you go work there. Some people work in courthouses, some people work in like dog pounds. We were on the landscaping team, and so we would go and do all of the government owned land. So we would mow the lawns next to like interstates and highways, and you know, lots of times there's like, you know, a highway where there's a bunch of houses there, and there's a gap between like where their fence ends and the road, because that's like state-owned property or city property. And so we would have to go and mow all that lawn and edge and pick up trash and all this stuff. And me and my detail officer was the lieutenant. He was over all of the other detail officers, and he was super cool, and we would always joke around. And Like this is kind of a military style prison, so everything had to be like, sir, yes sir. We had to make our beds in a certain way. We had to polish our boots. We had to like our sorry.
No, I'm just kind of remarking on how crazy that is. What in the world did you do to get sent to that prison?
A lot. But so we had to march out in lines, and we would line up outside according to detail. And we get out there, and normally my lieutenant would come through and like get in my face, and like they called me Red Dot. So a red dot is somebody where on your name badge it has a red dot on it because you're under 21. If you're under 21, you have to get whole milk with every meal. Okay, so this is like a
oh my god, really?
Yeah, this is like a whole thing to where like you have to get your vitamins and protein or whatever so that they're not like stopping your development or whatever. So we have to if you have a red dot, you have to get whole milk. And so he would always call me Red Dot. He'd come up and get in my face and like, Red Dot, what is wrong with you? Why are your laces like that? And I'm like, sir, I'm sorry. You have to start every sentence with sir and end every sentence with sir. So I'm like, sir, I'm sorry, sir. I'm not very smart, sir. Nobody ever taught me how to tie my shoelaces, sir. And like, I would just like say like stupid stuff and everybody would laugh. And like, he would always just like, you know, it was like every day, like we would get into some stupid argument where I'm like being super respectful but giving like the dumbest answers possible. And it was always fun. Like we had like a cool relationship. We would get into the car, and like once we're in the van, we would drop all the sir, yes sir and stuff. And where our shed was. Yeah, thank you. Where the van was, or where the shed was, where we kept all of our tools and everything, we had a chest in there that was full of like nude magazines, cigarettes, lighters, like all, you know, cigars, all sorts of stuff that he let us keep in there. And like while we're mowing lawns, people would see us in our jumpsuits on the side of the road and throw stuff out to us. Sometimes they'd throw weed, sometimes they'd throw you know, pornos, they would throw all sorts of stuff out to us, and he would let us keep it as long as we were discreet. On this day, every day, once we would get into the van, he would pull out a coffee mug. Okay, so this is just setting everything up so you understand what we're doing. Okay, so we get into the van, and every day we would get into the van, and a guy named Officer Foley, big fat dude, like 6'6", looks just like a cop with the mustache and everything, would come over and pour clear liquid into his coffee mug. And then we would drive off and go to detail. So one day, we were screwing around, you know, in front of everybody the whole time. Then we go get into the van. Foley comes over, pours the liquid into his coffee mug, walks off. And I said, sir, I don't know if I want you driving us around after Foley pours that clear liquid into your mug. I was joking. He drove every day. He was fine, but pretty sure he was drunk, but he was fine. Like he was only ever driving like 5 miles an hour normally. So it didn't really matter. He started yelling at me to shut up. And, when we got to the shed, he went and pulled out the entire chest, poured it on the driveway in the concrete, called everybody over, and set it on fire, and said, you guys can all thank Red Dot for this. And oh my god! And then walked away. Later, we go through the whole day. Nothing else really happens. Everybody's mad at me that all the pornos are gone.
Just to clarify, this is just because you suggested that he should be driving and drinking? That's the only reason for this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So later, yeah, the rest of the day's fine. Everybody's pissed off at me though. The pornos are gone. The cigarettes are gone. Everybody's pissed off at me. We get back to the shed. I totally forgot about it by the end of the day, right? We work like an 8-hour day. We get back. We're going through what's called the shakedown shack. When you walk into the shakedown shack, you have to go in. Our clothes are like, our jumper suits are covered with like grass and, you know, grass stains and everything, sweat. So we walk in every day. We First, we take off our hat. They search our hat, so they'll have like a line of like 15 officers. You walk in front of one, they'll tell you go in front of him. You go stand in front of that officer. They'll take your hat, search through it. You take off one piece of clothing at a time, hand it to them. They search through the clothing and then throw it into the dirty clothes. And then you open your mouth and go and open up your tongue. And they take a flashlight, look in your mouth, make sure you're not bringing anything back in. You have to lift up your penis, then lift up your ball sack. They like squat down and like get really close with a freaking flashlight pointing it at you, and then you turn around, bend over, spread your cheeks, and then cough twice. And that makes you like your butthole.
Are you trolling?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm telling you, we had to do this every day. You had to turn around and cough twice, and that makes your butthole stick out to where if you were actually trying to like sneak stuff back in, it's called suitcasing. If you stick stuff up your butt, you were trying to suitcase stuff back in, it would fall out because you coughed and it made your, butt stick out. So we had to do this every day. They call me in. I go into in front of this officer, and he tells me to start doing the stuff. I start doing the stuff. I didn't say anything, and he starts telling me that I'm doing it wrong. And so I would just stop, and he's like, start over. And so I had to put all my clothes back on and start over. And then he starts saying, what did you just say to me? What did you just say to me? And I'm like, I didn't say anything. He's like, you, sir, I didn't say anything, sir. And I'm like, yeah, sir, I didn't say anything, sir. And he's like, did you just cuss at me? Did you just say shit to me, boy? Did you just say shit to me? And I was like, no. And at the time, I literally didn't cuss, like ever, like never. Like, I didn't start cussing till literally like a couple months ago. Okay, so just just to give you like an understanding, I never cussed. So this guy yelling at me like this, saying like, you just said shit. I heard you. You said fucking shit to me. And I was like, I didn't. Sir, I didn't, sir. Like, I promise I didn't say it. And he's like, oh, you're saying I'm lying? I'm like, no, I'm saying it. You just misunderstanding, sir. Like, sorry. So a couple more times, tried again. He starts yelling at me for cussing at him again. Foley walks in, says, hey, the big 6'5", 300-pound dude, walks in and is like, Red Dot, get up against the wall. I'm butt naked with boots on. I walk over, stand in front of the wall with my face up against the wall. He gets in my face and is literally screaming and yelling at me. Red Dot, you dumb motherfucker. You don't give us trouble. You just do what you're told. We don't need to hear any lip from you. He's like going off about like how I think I'm special and how I think I can do more than everybody else and that I think I can get away with everything, which to some degree, because my officer would come and goof off with me every morning, there probably was this like sentiment from people that I was able to get away with shit because you don't goof off with the freaking officers. You don't do this. Like, nobody does this. And the fact that we were doing this every morning, like, there probably was this like, feeling that I was like, I thought I was special or something. Again, so he's screaming and yelling at me that I'm able to goof off with his boss and everything. I have to sneeze. Worst freaking timing in the world. I have to sneeze. He's in my face. I don't know what to do. So I start to lift up my hand to cover my mouth so I don't sneeze. And literally the second I move my hand, he grabs me around my neck and picks me up off the ground by my neck, like in a chokehold. And my feet are like a foot off the ground, like, and I'm like kicking and butt naked, remind you. So I don't even know if I ever sneezed. I have no idea if this is a question everybody always asks me. Did you sneeze? I don't know. I don't remember. Commotion starts breaking out everywhere. Like, I hear everybody screaming and yelling, and there's like, pushing and all sorts of stuff. They slam the door to the shakedown shack. There's normally a guard standing right at the door who lets one person in at a time. He slams the door, and I'm like screaming and like, get out, like, let me down, like screaming, trying to get him, like kicking. And And he just holds me there and literally says, I'm going to kill you, Red Dot. Like, he says this to me. I remember it specifically. Other people told me they heard it too. So I didn't like just hear a thing. Other people told me they heard him say, I'm going to kill you, Red Dot. And like everything starts going black. He's got me up off the ground for a while. I hear other officers start yelling, put him down, put him down. And he's like, oh, I got him. And they're like, no, put him down now, put him down now. They put me down. I start to hear like banging on the other doors. The other inmates are literally trying to break down the door now. Like, they hear me screaming, they hear me yelling. They put me on the floor, on my feet, and I'm like kind of like falling over, and they're holding me up. And then they put cuffs on me. So they cuff my hands behind my back. They go 1, 2, 3. And one guard kicks my feet out from under me, and I kind of go like airborne. The other guard kicks me in the back at like the same time. So I just kind of go up and then come smack down on concrete, bust my head, hit my knees first, like shattered my kneecap, sprained my other knee. I got like blood like coming out of my head, and I'm like laying there with like blood like flowing into my mouth. And then Foley comes and grabs my cuffs and like pulls them up behind my back and is like pulling my shoulder out of socket. And I'm screaming like freaking crazy. I'm just now starting to gain vision again. Like, everything had been black for a minute. I was just kind of like all like, you know, dizzy and fainting.
Yeah, I understand.
So yeah, he pulls my arms up. I'm screaming again. The doors are like literally about to get like broken down. I hear the other guys, like the cops are yelling at the other inmates that were in there at the same time getting searched. They start yelling at all of them to get on the ground, and there's like commotion all around me, and sounds like people fighting and crap. So they grab me by the cuffs and drag me over behind the counter. The counter is where you go. So like once they finish strip searching you, you walk over to the counter, and they'll give you a new jumpsuit to wear, and new boots sometimes as well. But they dragged me behind the counter, and then they put the pile of dirty clothes on top of me, and I'm like kind of like passed out, like freaking blood like coming out of my head and everything, and
oh my god,
just kind of out of it. The door gets busted open, and they're yelling, where's Pinion, where's Pinion? And the guards are like, oh, he left, like he threw a fit, he's going to the hole, you're never gonna see him again, yeah, he's in trouble, you know, stuff like that. And I'm like laying under these clothes, like breathing like super hard and like trying to like gain my faculties back. And they go back outside, they finish strip searching everybody, but then they come in after everybody's gone. They come in, my lieutenant comes in, and he's like, you know, Red Dot, what did you do? You fucking idiot, you know, going off on me. They stand me up. I can't like stand up by myself, and I'm like barely hobbling, and I just have so much like adrenaline that for some reason I was able to walk for some reason. At the next day I couldn't walk at all. Like, I literally could barely move my leg, let alone walk on it. But at that time I was able to walk a good bit and hobble. And my lieutenant says, all right, is everybody gone? They're like, yes, we took everybody back to the prison. Nobody's outside anymore. We walk out the door, both of them holding me under my shoulders, like dragging me. And there's everybody, all the inmates still standing there. Now, this is a PDC run by like probation sentences and stuff like that. So if you get in trouble in this prison, you violate probation, and they send you back to county to get resentenced for violating probation, right? And it happens all the time. People get into a fight, you go home, you go back to county, you catch a new charge, and you violate probation. Like, it's a super strict place. They're dragging me out. I see everybody, and I start screaming and yelling. Like, they just beat the shit out of me for no reason. I didn't do shit. He's a lying motherfucker. This bitch-ass motherfucker right here. Just, like, going off, like, screaming and yelling, pointing at Foley. Like, this motherfucker right here. He just beat the shit out of me for no reason. I didn't do anything. Like, going off. After I just, like, told these people I never cussed. Like, I'm going off, dude. Like, like,
well,
just
you had a pretty good reason to.
Yeah, sure. And because I thought, like, a freaking prison riot was about to break out, like, 20, 30 minutes earlier. So I thought, now that I can tell them what happened, now it'll happen. Now the freaking prison riot will break out. Now we'll do everything. But the guards come all and, like, run in between them. They're all standing in line, you know, at attention with their hands behind their back. And there just wasn't much they could do. So I'm just screaming and yelling. And they dragged me back. They put me in the hole. Left me there for a couple months. The only time I saw anybody was when a nurse came in to say she was checking on me. But she literally, like, went to check my reflexes and hits me on the freaking kneecap, dude. With, like, a guard next to her.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yes, I was screaming bloody murder, dude. And you can see my kneecap is, like, all mangled. You can see it. Like, it's obvious. Under my skin, like, my freaking bones are mangled right there. And she's freaking tapping this thing with the little hammer thing. And she's like, I'm screaming. She's like, yeah, no, he's fine. He's faking it. There's nothing wrong with him. And they left and left me there for months. So, yeah.
Dude, that was one of the fucking craziest stories I've heard in a long time. I'm really sorry you had to go through that, man. That's like fucking super tragic, man. My heart goes out to you. That's fucking terrible. I have so many questions though.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I have like 5 questions. So first of all, this is the part that confused me. So this fucking crazy dude, he's like choking, he lifts you up. It seems like the other guards came in, they kind of try to like, like de-escalate the situation, like, no, put him down. Why after doing that did they then attack you? That's the part that I didn't understand. Like, what do you think made them attack you after basically, in a way, like, quote unquote, saving you?
So there was one guard that was yelling for him to put me down. The guy who closed the door to stop the inmates from getting in. He's the guard who yelled at them to put me down. And I guess I didn't mention, but when he was pulling the cuffs up behind me and, like, pulling my, like, shoulders out of socket, the other guards were, like, kneeing me and, like, punching me in the ribs and, like, kicking me and crap, while I'm, like, laying there bleeding. So all of them were happy to beat the shit out of me. The reason I mentioned, like, all of the stuff first is because the realization didn't come to me till way later. When one of my friends who was in prison with me, lives right next to me, he got out, he was telling me, you know, the day that Foley beat the shit out of you, he's like, he was my detail officer, and he passed out drunk in the middle of the street. Like, he's like, we walked to a pool to clean the pool. It was like a city pool. And as we all walked across the street, and he got out last and starts walking across and literally trips over himself and falls over and just passed out in the middle of the street, just laying there drunk. And we all had to come and, like, wake him up and get him up on his feet. And we had to, like, pour pool water on him to get him back up. He's like, so he was, like, freaking wasted that day. And so I like, when he told me that, that's when I realized, shit, this is the same day I got in trouble for freaking the comment about them pouring the clear liquid in the cup. This is the same day. This was freaking punishment for me mentioning the clear liquid in the cup. That's what this was. I wondered forever what the hell happened there. I wondered forever, like, what the hell happened? Why did this happen? What made this happen? And it wasn't until, like, like a year later where one of my buddies mentioned his officer passing out, where all of a sudden I put it all together. I was like, oh shit, dude. Totally forgot about all of that.
Okay, okay, I see. Did that guy? So you mentioned it was actually. It makes more sense now. So there was one guy that was saying put him down, but the other guys were just basically like kind of like whatever, just like chilling. Did that guy while when they started beating the shit out of you, did he say or do anything, or he just like didn't do anything?
What do you mean, Foley?
No, no. So you mentioned so when Foley was choking you, you mentioned there was one guard by the door who was saying, "Put him down, put him down, put him down,"
Yeah,
right? And then he puts you down, and then all the guards start beating the shit out of you, right? Did that guy
yeah.
who was did he try to
No,
like
he couldn't
stop?
really see. Like they're like kind of surrounded me, and like like the guy who keeps like kneeing me is down on his, like, he's crouched down next to me, kneeing me over and over, like pulling my arms down. They're telling me to stop resisting and shit. Like I wasn't doing anything. I was out of
This
it.
is
I could barely
crazy
move.
wanton brutality and like so uncalled for. Uh, did anything ever happen to any of these guys, Foley specifically?
No, so the one time anything happened at all, I put in, somebody told me after I got out of the hole that if I told the prison that I was suing them, they would have to send me somewhere. And there were times where they would say, like, if you don't, like, I told them one time, I'm like, I'm never going back to the shakedown shack. You guys will never get me back on. I was like, if you want me to go on detail, I'll go on detail, but I will never go through that shakedown shack ever again. It's not happening. And they're like, you know, you're going to get sent back to county and catch a charge. And I was like, that's fine. I would love for a judge to hear about this. I would love for a judge to hear about this. And so that afterwards, somebody told me, they're like, if you just tell them you're suing them, they have to move you out of this prison. So I wrote a letter and like put it in the box that says like, hey, I plan on suing you guys for what happened here. I would like to be moved somewhere else or go back to county. And so they called me into the warden's office and they sent me down. And at the time, like, my parents had like disowned me. My girlfriend just out of nowhere stopped writing me letters, stopped answering my calls. Like, I put money on my books so that I could call her and talk to her. She just stopped answering. And the people who were coming to visitation all just stopped coming. And so I had no clue what was going on. I had no contact to the outside anymore. And so they call me into the office. They're like, hey, we heard you had a scuffle with the officers, that you attacked them. They had to defend themselves. And I, like, I'm telling them, like, that's a lie. Like, that never happened.
There's no
They're
cameras
like,
there, I assume, right?
no. Yeah, because there's naked people in there, so you can't have cameras anywhere where there's naked people.
Okay.
So I'm telling them, I'm like, yeah, that's a lie. Never happened. They're like, sir, it's a lie, sir. And I was like, I'm not saying that shit to you guys. I'm not saying it. Like, you guys can send me back to county, but I'm not saying this stuff to you guys. I don't care. And this is like when I'm still like just fresh out of the hole, just got out of the hole. They start like telling me like, well, just so you know, we called your girlfriend and talked to her. She's really disappointed in you. She wants you to get out, and she's waiting for you to get out. And now we're gonna have to extend your time. We talked to your parents.
Called your fucking girlfriend? Holy shit!
So we talked to your parents. They said that they're not surprised you did this, and but he's like, your parents did tell me that when you get out, they will let you come home as long as you are on good behavior for the rest of the time. And I like start bawling, crying. I'm like all like upset now. I'm like, shit, dude. I don't know where all these freaking people went. And now all of a sudden they're like, the first little bit of information I get is from these guys right now. And so they're like, yeah, like if you just cooperate and just do what we tell you, you'll be able to have a life when you get out. You don't want to be one of those guys who goes to prison. It's like homeless the rest of his life. And you know, is back on drugs and all this other crap. They're like, you know, there's people out there who care about you, and we talk to them and they really care about you and they really want you to do better. And so we're here to help you with that. We want you to do better too. We want you to, you know, succeed. And so we just need you to cooperate. And I'm like, yeah, I'm friggin' bawling, crying, sitting there like, shit, dude, I don't know what to do now. I had a whole plan on like bucking this whole thing and getting like resentenced and kicked out today, and now now because I had nothing to like get out for. I had nothing to look forward to. I didn't care if I got extended. I didn't give a shit. I had nothing to get out for. Like there was nothing left for me outside, so I didn't care. And then they did this whole freaking thing, which, as far as I know, they never called my girlfriend. They never talked to my parents. None of this shit ever happened.
Oh, they did. Okay. That's why I was saying, holy shit! I thought they actually did call your girlfriend. So they didn't. So they were lying, basically. They never called your girlfriend.
Yep.
Okay. So here's another follow-up question. So now that you're out, have you not been tempted to sue them? Like, I feel like I would be like so raging that I would like try to like sue the shit out of them.
Yeah, initially that was like, I was super angry when I first got out. There's some like super cringe like Facebook posts from me, like just like vague posting, hardcore. Nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about. People are like super worried about me, and I just like, I don't know how to explain this shit to them, but I'm like, I don't know. It's like therapeutic for me to like put words on a thing and hit post anyways at the time. So I don't know. So yeah, like I was super mad, super pissed off when I got out. Like everywhere I went was in a wheelchair and or on crutches, and I talked to lawyers for a while, and almost every one of them was like, yeah, this is just like an unwinnable case. Like, you don't know the names of the other people who were in there. You don't have their phone numbers. Like, we would have to like request all of this information, and there's no cameras, so it'd be really hard to figure it out. And one lawyer told me, I think it was like the third or fourth lawyer I talked to, he said, are you black? And I was like, no. Why? He's like, if you were black, we could make like a whole shitstorm in the media over this and really put pressure on them to deal with this. But he's like, nah, I just don't see this becoming anything. He's like, you just kind of have like a crappy situation where nothing can really come of it. And
yeah, I guess that does make sense, because number one, no cameras, and number two, there was, as far as I understand, no prisoners. There was just guards, and they'll all just stick together and say self-defense. They'll just lie and say, "Oh, self-defense," and then it's your word against like, and you're an ex-criminal, you know, when the judge looked at, versus 7 whatever guards. It's like, how do you prove that? Like, you know, there's no witnesses, no cameras. It's like, how do you prove that it wasn't self-defense, that they actually attacked you? Like, yeah. So okay, so I can, now that I've thought about it, I can kind of see how it would be like a really, really, really tough case. It's like, how do you prove that? Like,
you know, on top of that, I was a heroin addict going in, and when I got out, it was like really important that I stayed clean for like the first time in a long time, and that I wasn't like screwing up. And after, I don't know, I probably talked to like 10 lawyers in the end, and some of them, I remember talking to one of them saying like, hey, this other lawyer said like, if I was black, that this would like be better. They're like, yeah, maybe, like, it's, I don't know, it doesn't matter because you're not going to get anything out of it anyways. And just hearing that so many times over and over from different lawyers, I eventually thought like, okay, I could keep looking. I could keep trying to find somebody who has some sort of like social justice motive to push this through, but I don't have money to pay any lawyers, so like they're gonna have to do it. You know, just hoping that there's some sort of settlement in the end. And I was like, I just really felt like I wanted to just like put shit behind me. Like at that point, like that's really all I wanted, is just like, you know, I think like I'm done with everything. Like, I'm just done talking about this. I'm done worrying about it. I'm done being mad about it. I'm done like with all of this. I'm just putting it behind me and moving on. And that's what I did.
Okay, that makes sense. So two more questions. So first of all, what kind of a prison was this exactly? Because I've never heard this. What you're describing sounds like military school, much more so than a prison. I have never heard of prison where you have to say like yes sir, no sir. Like like what kind of prison is this exactly?
So there is a there's a different, so there's a state facility called a PDC. Stands for Probationary Detention Center. It's a specific prison for people on probation. So where you can get like a different type of sentence because you're on probation that will send you to this place instead
Wait, I thought
of...
if you were on probation, you just get to like you're out, but you just like can't get into trouble and you have some restrictions. I thought you were like home. I didn't know you could be on probation. Like, what differentiates someone?
This is like the fourth time I got arrested, bro.
So it was like kind of like an in between like regular probation and jail, essentially.
Yeah, so I got arrested. I was in jail for 6 months, just in county. I got 10 years probation, got out 2 weeks later, got arrested this time. And so I got arrested with 10 years of probation on, right? So so because I was on 10 years probation, not only do I have to deal with this charge, but I also have to go back to court for violating probation. And so part of the entire deal with this one is that we were settling everything in one case. I didn't have to go back for another hearing for the violation. They were just going to send me to PDC. This is after I had a sentence for a year, but there was overcrowding and they were starting to like resentence people. And if you were on probation, you could take a deal to do your time in PDC. And so that's what I did.
PDC sounds worse than regular prison. No?
There's pluses and minuses. There was all sorts of stuff and I had other friends who were already going to the PDC. So it was just beneficial for me to, like, at the time, I would just rather go to the PDC. So yeah, so I was sentenced to another 10 years of probation with this one. So I ended up with 2 10-year probation sentences run concurrent, and having to finish out the sentence with PDC. And so so yeah, so it's a PDC that is like a probationary detention center. So when I'm talking about like if you get in trouble there, you get sent back to county because you have to, it's considered a probation violation. Like that doesn't happen in normal prison. That doesn't happen everywhere else. That only happens in PDC because it's like a probationary detention center.
Okay, that I understand now. And then last question: what in the world were you getting arrested for? Honestly, dude, when I first met you, and like up until literally an hour ago, my impression of you, and don't take offense, was like an upper middle class white guy, good upbringing, maybe played a little sports, went to college, like super like kind of like law abiding, like very like kind of like straight and narrow, like probably doesn't even drink much, and like my impression was way off apparently. So I'm ultra curious, like what were you getting arrested for?
I mean, for the most part, everything you got is correct. Like I went to, I was like a heroin addict. I like dropped out of school. I was like a high level high school athlete and had like scouts looking at me for football even when I was in like a sophomore. And I had like a bunch of health problems and had continuously had health problems and had surgeries, got hooked on my pain medication, ended up escalating those over time until I was like literally injecting needles and doing heroin. Me and my friends, my group of friends, we had like all of these like different things that we were doing to help us make money to support our drug habits. And so we were selling different drugs, we were robbing people, we were we were stealing debit cards, robbing houses. We had like different types of schemes that we would do against other drug dealers to rob them, like in detail, like very detailed schemes and stuff that we were doing.
And then you got caught one day.
Yeah, so I got arrested for residential burglaries for those 6 months. But then when I got arrested again, the 2 weeks later, there was like a number of charges, and there was a RICO investigation at the time. And I thought I was going away for a very long time. Like when I got arrested, I thought I was going to be gone for like 10 years. I thought, I literally, I had already told all my friends, because we had heard that there was a RICO investigation. And so I told all of them, like, I get arrested again, you guys have to like disappear, like literally just go. And within a day, I got arrested, they were all gone, like out of the state, disappeared, nobody could find them. And so, yeah, I thought, like, yeah, I'm just going to take everything on the chin again. And my girlfriend's dad was working with the investigators and helping them try to get a RICO case on me. Jeez. And my friends. And so, yeah, there was like there was a whole thing, because even none of the people, like none of the detectives who had investigated me in the past were allowed to do the RICO case for some reason. And so there was like a specific like thing where the sheriff of the county ran the state drug enforcement group, and he was like the only person who was allowed to investigate the RICO case with some other task force. And my girlfriend's dad knew him and was like friends with him. And that's like how all of this ended up blowing up. But in the end, I ended up just getting like 17 charges of a number of other things instead.
Okay.
I'm assuming because they never found anybody else.
That makes sense. Also, on a different note, I'm curious, how did you go from, you mentioned, I mean, it's a story as old as time. It's like, right, health issues, do an operation, you get painkillers, and then you start going up. I had actually also a shoulder surgery, lots of pain, start taking, they prescribed me hydrocodone, 3 months of it, then, the medication runs out. But, like, for me, I knew that I could not go up. I knew that, like, that road is very dangerous. So I just went through like several months of like massive depression, and eventually my neurotransmitters, leveled out. How did you, I guess, go from the painkillers, which were probably prescribed to you by your doctor, to like illegal, like injectable drugs?
It was a slow process. Like initially I had when I was in 8th grade, I was leaving school almost every single day. Like I was always sick. My vision would go blurry. I would get dizzy. I would get really bad chest pains, heart palpitations. Like it was really strange. And so my parents were picking me up from school almost every single day. And eventually they had a meeting with my parents where they're like, he's missing too much school. Like we're going to have to like homebound him or something. Do you know what homebound is?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
So if you get homebound, it means that they will literally send all your schoolwork to your house, or your parents go pick it up from the school, and they'll just like expect you to just do the schoolwork and send it back because you have some sort of like medical condition where you can't show up to school. So they put me on homebound, but I was sleeping 20 hours a day, literally 20 hours a day. I remember my dad would actually like stay up all day waiting for me to wake up. I would wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and he would be like waiting there for me to finally wake up, and we would go and we would like play basketball somewhere or tennis, or we would go do something like active for the short amount of time that I was awake, and then I would go right back to bed. And that lasted for about a year until they found cysts in my nasal cavities. There was 2 cysts the size of golf balls that were like pumping poison into my bloodstream. I had had so many CAT scans, so many doctor's visits, so many specialists, like tried everything. They didn't know what was wrong with me. Finally found these cysts, got surgery took them both out. Apparently, while they were doing the operation, they found like my tonsils and my adenoids were like severely poisoned as well. So they had to take those out. And so I ended up having 4 procedures in one day. And when they got me out, they gave me liquid Demerol and liquid morphine. And at the time, I was so like out of it from the surgeries and in so much pain. I didn't want to take it. I didn't want to do it. Like, it just made me feel like just weird. It made me feel really weird and out of it and loopy and dizzy. And like, I didn't like it. I already felt bad. I didn't want to freaking feel weird. So I didn't take it until I started feeling better. And then I remember I started thinking, like, okay, well, I'm still in a little bit of pain, so now I'll try doing it. So I would, and I really liked it then. And so then, even after I got better, I continued taking these things and drinking them. It was all liquid. And then I started complaining, oh, I'm still in pain, I need more, and they would give me more. And then they were like, oh, if you're still in pain after this, like, you have to come back in. There is something seriously wrong. I think maybe your stitches opened up. There's a real problem. You're probably going to have to get new surgery. Like, I was like, oh, no, I'm fine. Sorry. Never mind. I'm not in pain. Like, I started, like, finding new places. Yeah, I started getting, like, oxycodone initially, Percocets after a while, then eventually, like, Roxasets, then Oxycontin, till eventually I was taking like 5 80s of Oxycontin a day. And I had friends who were just like, dude, you're literally doing heroin. It's already heroin. I'm like, what? No, that's not heroin. He's like, no, it is heroin. Like, your painkillers are the same exact thing as heroin. You're just taking way more Tylenol to where you have a much higher chance of overdosing. But if you just do heroin, it's much better off. So I started doing heroin, started injecting it. And I mean, they were right. Like, I saved so much money. I was spending like 25% the amount of money that I was spending on 580s. Just go get a small bag of heroin, and I was way better off.
That is like kind of like a even mental jump. Did you? Okay, so here's my question to you. Like, when I was I totally like understand the whole like this feel really good, dude. Those 3 months when I was after my surgery when I had Vicodin, it was probably the happiest I've ever been. Honestly, like it's kind of sad to say, but it just felt so great. I don't know. I felt like my brain chemistry responded so positively. I was so happy, just doing nothing because I was in pain, but I couldn't really do much because of my shoulder. But I'd sit there and like fucking watch TV and laugh my ass off. My girlfriend would come visit me, and I was like so happy. I was like the happiest person ever. So I could totally empathize with that good feeling. But I always knew, like, in the back of my mind that I cannot go up. This has to end. This has to be 3 months and it. And, like, I cannot do it because I know where that road ends. Did you not have that voice in the back of your head?
Yeah, of course. But it was just, there was always another extension, another extension, another extension. There was always new excuses. And this is a thing that everybody who does drugs always does. If you're an addict, there'll be periods where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this today. I'm never doing this again. I'm sick of this life. I'm sick of, like, you know, having to hide everything. I'm sick of lying to people. I'm sick of the crimes. I'm sick of worrying about cops. Like, I'm just sick of it. I'm doing it today. I'm done. And then, like, just some thought will pop in your head and you'll be like, oh, never mind, I'm not done, let me go get some more. Like, and it's just, that's like a never-ending cycle that is always happening, where you're always just like convincing yourself to do it again and again and again and again. So yeah.
Okay, I understand. Damn, dude, so how did you ultimately get clean?
Well, so being in prison for a year was a huge help. And once I got out, like every other time that I got arrested, people would always say, like, are you going to go back to doing drugs when you get out? And I would always be like, I don't know. Or sorry, I would always say, no, I'm definitely not doing drugs anymore. I'm done. I'll never do it again. And then literally, like, within an hour of getting out, I was right back doing drugs every time. So this time, every time people ask me, they're like, are you going to go back to doing drugs again? I'm like, every other time you guys ask me this and I say no, but I do it anyways. So honestly, I don't know. I have no freaking idea. Like, maybe, hopefully not. I'm going to try not to. And I don't know. Like, I just came out with a totally different mindset. The girlfriend who just kind of skipped out on me while I was locked up, she was hardcore into heroin when I got out, and every time she would come see me, I would see like her pupils were just gone, and I would be like, I'm not hanging with you, dude. Like, I'm not talking to you, I'm not chilling with you until you get clean. Like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And the same with my friends. If they weren't clean, I didn't want to hang out with them. And so I just like kind of separated myself from everybody and just kind of started a new path.
Well, that's good, man. Massive props to you for getting clean. Not a lot of people can do it. But yeah, it is a tragic like the whole, you were in real pain, right? It's not like you made it up. You were in real pain. Your doctor gave you medication. You kind of naturally trust the doctor, right? At least I think when you're younger, and and that's like blows my mind how easily in America like hardcore opiates are prescribed. It's not like that in a lot of other countries, like in like Belarus where I'm from, or in Europe. That's it doesn't. Sure, they're prescribed sometimes, but it's like in much more moderation. And also like the liquid morphine. That's a really strong one. Like I wasn't taking that. I had Vicodin, which is still strong, but not that strong. But yeah, I mean it's fucking. I've had quite a few friends who have like the same story basically as you, minus the jail, where they but a lot of them are actually dead now. They overdose. Where they just had some kind of pain. Like totally like one of my friends, Joey, he was like a football player, like very anti-drug, didn't smoke weed or anything like that. Like very like I'm gonna play football, I'm gonna go to college, like type of dude. And then he had some kind of issue. I don't remember exactly what it is. Went to the doctor, gave him some painkillers, escalated, and then he ultimately overdosed on heroin. Super sad story, and I've heard that story over and over again. It's like crazy. I think it's getting a little better. I think that's like not as common anymore from what I've heard, but yeah, it's like super just blows my mind how that's like how doctors will just so readily prescribe like hardcore opiates, knowing that
Yeah,
it's
when
the
I got
opiates.
out, I was telling I had like a really bad knee pain, and I went to the doctor and was telling him like, yeah, like this happened with my when I was in prison, and like I still have bad knee pain. And the doctor was like, okay, I'm gonna prescribe you Roxicets. And I was like, no, dude, I'm a heroin addict. Like, I'm not gonna take that shit. He was like, oh no, like if you're taking it for actual pain, it's a totally different thing. It's totally different process. I was like, bro, I'm not taking that shit. Like, I
Oh my
want
god.
something like Suboxone or methadone or something like that. He's like, yeah, I don't prescribe those things. So I was like, all right. So I went somewhere else and got prescribed Suboxone, and I've been taking Suboxone ever since. What's up, food shops?
Okay, that's fascinating. Just like it's
Tom,
different when it's real pain, as if it is actually different. It's like the same exact fucking shit. Yeah, I've had several like mini operations, and they always like nowadays. I don't know why, but like for the um anesthesia, whatever that thing, and the thing that kind of puts you out, is they
Yeah.
always fucking try to give me fentanyl, and I have to like argue with them. I'm like, I don't want fentanyl. Give me like something that just puts me to sleep. They're like, no, no, fentanyl is like the best. It's really safe. I'm like, dude, I don't want fucking IV fentanyl. And they're like, always fight me on that. And ultimately, they give in, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll just give you, something else. But like, I don't know why, but they're like, this has been at least like 2 or 3 times now, where they're like, yeah, yeah, we'll give you some IV fentanyl. I'm like, dude, that's like one of the most addictive drugs. Why would I want that in my system? No, 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 it's actually, it's different when you're getting an operation. I'm like, dude, like, no, I don't want it. Yeah, it kind of blows my mind, shit like that. Have you ever heard of kratom?
Yeah, Kratom. Yeah.
Have you ever taken it?
No.
Okay.
Tom,
Kratom was, so when I remember how I told you that I had the, what's it called? The whatever, the 3 months when I was in Vicodin. So basically, after those 3 months ended,
Tom,
kind of the middle ground I reached in my mind was that I'll take tramadol. Are you familiar with tramadol?
Yeah, I know what Tramadol is.
Yeah, it's like a very mild painkiller, but it's still like an opiate. So I would take tramadol. I would have a rule. I would only take 2 pills a day. That was it, like no
Tom,
more. And I stuck by that for about a year and a half. I discovered kratom, and then with kratom, I completely got off like all painkillers.
Tom.
Uh, that was like a game changer for me.
Oh,
But yeah, dude, man, that's a fucking crazy ass fucking life you've lived. And you're how old now?
35. What's up, food shops? What?
I have a very
Oh,
important question, an extremely important question.
What's that?
How do you permanently close the polls in your chat? Like every single time it pops up, like it just pops up way too often. And I have to click the little like 3 button thingies in order to close the poll things. But like it just pops up so often, like it's so obnoxious. Like how do I like close it permanently? It's so annoying.
I don't
all
know.
right,
I don't
I'll
think you
let you guys
can.
discuss this. Tom, it was really good chatting, man. I really appreciate
Good
you
talking,
sharing
buddy.
your crazy life, dude. You should fucking write a book or at least make like a video series talking about your encounters. This is
I've
like
thought about it.
really
There's even like the drug stories are way better. Like the stories about like the life before all of that shit there's a lot of wild stuff going into that. There's a video on my channel if you're interested. It's got a dog on the front. I think it's called the dog poop story or something like that. It's just like 5 or 6 videos ago. That's
okay.
a wild story right there.
I will take a look at that. Dude, you had I was like fucking hardcore, like invested in the story. Like it was like watching like a really good movie. I was like engaged in every step, and it's like kind of rare because my attention always just kind of diverts. So crazy ass fucking story, man. But I'm glad that you're healthy and out of prison and no longer having to tuck your dick in or whatever it is that fucking weird
Yeah.
shit that
What?
you do in prison.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
All right, dude. I'll see you later.
Later, man.
Take care.
Food shops, why are you so awkward?
What? That wasn't awkward. I had a really important question that I really wanted to ask you, and like, dude, like it's so annoying. Like, dude, okay, do you have an automated like bot or something that keeps on asking? Also, why is this Alex dude like still in the chat? Like, why do you have just random call-in people from the chat like just coming in and like literally like just call in randomly? Like, you just let anybody in these days? Like, come on, dude. Like, why?
I let you in.
Yeah, but I'm not just some random nobody. Like, what the fuck?
He's not a random nobody.
Huh? Who is he?
He's playing with fire. He's got...
Who is he? Who is that guy? I don't know. Also, like, bro. Okay. So, you know the 3 dots, the close poll thing, right? So when you close the polls,
he's got 170,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Boring. Okay, so close the poll thing, right? So when it comes to the close the poll thing, it has the how do you close the polls permanently? Is there any like YouTube option to permanently disable
You
it?
can't close it.
Why can't you? Like, dude, okay.
Because
Is there any way for me to like just like permanently? Okay, I don't know, dude, what a loser. So how do you like permanently like the stream? Like how do you automate liking the stream every single time I come in so then it stops asking me then?
you can't.
Also Neon Gutters 2020, that person who keeps on saying, okay, Mo, I can't believe I loved all that drug talk. Dude, shut the fuck up, loser. Nobody wants you in the chat anyway. Also, you never donated a single time to Tom, so nobody wants you in the chat anyway, okay? I see you, okay? At least the person who donated $4.20 said Tom, okay? Like at least that person donated something, okay?
Thank you, Eris, for the 420
exactly,
as well.
okay? All right. Also, Tom, I come in providing you content all the time, okay? Think about all the drama I DM you, all right? I am the real content, okay? I am the content machine, all right? Yeah, all right. Have you seen, okay, I've been looking at your content thingies. Have you seen Sunday stuff?
Yeah,
about
it's in my
aristocracy?
title.
Yeah. Have you
we haven't
looked at
gone
it?
over it yet. No.
Bro, it is literally 1:10 a.m. and you still haven't gone over it yet?
It's 4:10 a.m. and no, we have not gone over it.
Okay, why the fuck do you sleep so late? Why do you do that?
I don't. I sleep early.
You sleep, what, do you work like a night shift? A day shift, night shift? What do you do?
This is my night shift.
Okay. All right. You listen. Yo, his coverage of it is actually like unhinged. Like actually unhinged. I covered it and I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be watching it from chat, but like cover it and I'm like just like I'm just like it was just so unhinged. But anyway, yeah, I would love to talk about it with you afterwards. Like it's just so unhinged. Anyway, that's it. Okay. See ya.